CSI Miami grew in season 2. The biggest way I know is we gained 1.5 million new viewers, which is great.
We struggled a little bit in season 1 to try to figure out what the focus of the show was going to be, to bring out the strengths of our actors and the ensemble, to really showcase Miami. This season, we were able to do all those things.
It's surreal for me to have an opportunity to kind of just be a part of something like this, and something that's so new. This CSI is a different form of television.
You know, first year of any show, you're kind of hunting and pecking what's our look, and especially coming off the Vegas show, which they had a very distinct style, and we wanted to be similar to that, but yet have our own identity. And I think in the second season, we really kind of found that.
You know, we came in and sort of took control this season and made some changes, and from what I'm hearing, it's been a positive experience.
What any writer does is try to create scenes with tension, tell good stories that entertain and make people feel. And if you don't make them feel, at least make them think, and get out of the actor's way.
The first season, cast as well as crew, we're all trying to find just, you know, what's the show about, what's my character about, what's the intent of it. And I think, you know, after the first season, we were 24 episodes. I think everyone had a pretty good idea what it was about. And then the second season, it all seemed to kind of come together. So the cast knows, like, you know, David knows he's Horatio, and he knows what he's about. Emelie has Callie down. So there's the second season, there was less discovery and more, I guess, amplifying as to what the character's about.
Don't do it! Don't do it!
They never listen.
When you have an actor like David Caruso leading a cast, a wonderful cast, you write to him and then stay out of his way.
We always want to pepper in a little bit about our characters. We want to learn more about them. The audience wants to know about them, and especially Horatio Caine, who's such a strong character. And our audience wanted to know what made him tick.
One of the things that I think is already happening is that the characters are really beginning interacting together, and the relationships are deepening. And I think the past story from the Horatio Caine characters are really starting to come to the forefront. He has a brother who was in law enforcement who died under mysterious circumstances. There was an actress on the show, Sophia Milos, who I'm beginning to work with quite a bit. She's his widow. And so there's a lot of very interesting stuff beginning to develop.
He's a professional. She's a professional. And yet there is this relationship that you can and you cannot talk about it. Is it okay? Is it not okay? There is this backstory that comes out more and more. A kid, my ex-husband's backstory on drugs, on why he was killed. So more and more conflicts, more and more story, more for us to actually play and have these non-spoken dialogue, which makes, I think, our work worthwhile.
And that's how we've, I think, made it better. We've gone to the core of who he is. Caruso is a really heroic, simple guy. And we really, with Horatio, really kind of melded the character. We brought them to the middle. We brought Caruso and Horatio here, and they meet, and there's a wedding. And it's a successful wedding because the show's doing so well.
You're a cop. I'm a CSI.
I definitely think the season 1 of any show is difficult because you really are trying to find out what the show's about. So season 2 was easier because our characters have developed, our actors are more comfortable with their roles. We know more about what kinds of stories we want to do, what works, what doesn't work. Those are the kinds of things you learn in a first season. So we take advantage of that knowledge in the second season, and we try to do even more of the shows that work.
The show definitely came into its own from last year. I mean, you know, as does any show. You know, we were fortunate enough to start out with a really solid foundation. We had a good thing going from the jump, spinning off the other show and coming in with the kind of cast and crew that we did behind everything. So the show started off well, but it really has blossomed this year.
I appreciate it, young man.
Just doing my job, sir.
I think in season 2 we found a groove together, and we're sort of we have more of a relationship with one another in real life, and I think it's sort of showing up on camera. And so I'm hoping as we end season 2 and go into season 3 that it's just going to continue to blossom.
I think it looks really good right now, brighter. The editing, everything about it has a different, snappier feel. It's been streamlined. One thing in particular that I personally love is that we've cut back on the child murders.
I've never seen a show that's that graphic. I think that intrigues people as well. But I think it's mostly the science that people are intrigued by.
It's all about chemistry, and I think that one of the things that the producers have done well is they put together great people, and so there's a real effortlessness to what we're doing.
You smell that? It's diesel fuel.
Yeah. It's like it's seeping through the floor. Okay, so why would someone soak a perfectly good yacht with diesel fuel?
To fool the Coast Guard.
Drugs.
Yeah, cocaine. The diesel fuel throws off the detectors.
This is what I tell the writers. I tell them that you get to write anything you want. You get to make a little movie, and that's a fact. And I think sometimes in television you forget that and you just think, oh, this is the grind and we've got to have something. So number one, I let them know that they get this big toy store, and they have this fantastic crew and great actors that will realize it for them.
Ann Donahue became our showrunner this season, and she came down, I think, with Ann really, and so with the writers and the directors and all production is it's all about the science. How does the science drive the stories? When we have tone meetings and production meetings, she's always, how is the science driving the scene, driving the story, and everything should progress from that.
That's why a lot of people do crossword puzzles. They want to naturally sort of, solve these puzzles, and I think the show provides like a storyline for them to follow, and I think they're very interested in the science of it.
I think we wanted to get back to the roots in season 2 and really show the mystery of the science and the characters as scientists, and we didn't do that as much in season 1.
This is a new world of forensic science. It's not police work. It's a scientific process, and on a completely different level. Forensics has changed everything, and the world of DNA has changed the whole approach to this process.
I think that in the climate right now, because we know so much, we know many things that we didn't know before. I remember back during the O.J. trial, we really didn't know about DNA. We were just learning about these things, and especially with the outcome of that trial, people were like, well, wait a minute, let's find out what's going on with forensics. Let's find out.
These his effects?
The tin of mints is empty. Nothing.
Alex, there's nothing. And then there's nothing.
It's interesting, the CSI shows are always driven by forensics, but there were more moments where you realize that the Miami characters are cops first, which they are in Miami. That's one of the differences between the Las Vegas show and the Miami show, is that the Miami CSIs are cops first.
Because Liz was a real CSI, I have great affection for CSIs, public servants, cops, guys and girls that go into the service, because they put their life on the line, and they do it in anonymity, and they do it for hardly any money. And so whenever you can pull up someone like that and bring them where they belong, that's a great thing.
My opinion of law enforcement has changed. It is a far more difficult job than civilians realize, just in terms of the view of the world that it gives a person who works in law enforcement. And I think that that is a tremendous commitment to say, I agree to serve people so that they don't have to look at this. It would be very difficult. It is not a job that I could do in real life at all.
You have to be passionate about this work because it is so detailed, so tedious at times, and we don't even get into probably a quarter of what these guys do on a daily basis. We've got to put it all into an hour. So I mean, some of the procedures that we do, you see them for 30 seconds. These guys spend 8 hours doing the same thing, and so you certainly develop an appreciation for it.
We learn on the job. We have the best technical advisors in the business, and they are absolutely right there scrutinizing every single detail. I'll give you an example of how meticulous it is. One day we were doing a scene, and our technical advisor, John Haynes, said, we have to go again. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, John thinks he sees a pinhole in your latex glove. And he said he just wants to examine it, and he looked at it, there was a tiny little hole, and we had to do the take again.
Now stay. And set.
Doing spectacle-based episodes is tough because usually you just need more time to do it. And one of the restrictions of the show is we have our 8.5 days or 9 days once in a while to shoot it. And so you're trying to create a hurricane or create a forest fire in the Everglades, but you still have your 8 days to do it. It's very hard because to set up something so grand takes time and effort and people and money. It's a big undertaking, but we have been able, I thought, this season to make it happen and have it look good at the end of the day when people watch it on TV.
I have to say we really aimed to get the show here, and I'm happy to say we've exceeded what we thought we could do. We have a tremendous team of people and really talented and devoted people that care about what they're doing.
You know, it's sort of like the dream where you wake up and you realize you have a test and you didn't study. I wake up in a panic thinking, I have no more stories, there's nothing left. I have nothing left to tell. And that's something I panic about, especially toward the end of the season when you're so tired and you've worked on all these episodes. I mean, I've worked on almost 120 CSI episodes. And that's a lot. Luckily, I think we don't all have that on the same day, because we'll get into the room and somebody will think of something and we'll end up with an episode.
I'm impatient as a viewer. I'm impatient as a writer in terms of don't bore me. Confuse me, anger me, but don't bore me on the screen. The way TV is, it's different now. So what used to be the end of Act 1 is now the button of your teaser, which is the first 2 minutes. So I'm always saying, push it up. They'll hear me say all the time, push it up, push it up, push it up. Because as soon as the audience is ahead of you, they're bored. And I don't want them changing channels. You know, Robert Evans says God is in the details, background is foreground. So the way you, quote, raise the bar is you're constantly looking, you're constantly tweaking. One time last year I said that's good enough. I was in the editing room at about, 1, probably 11 at night. I said, yeah, it's good enough. And then I went, oh my God, stop. Never say that's good enough, ever. If you say that's good enough, go home.